Hi, this is Anne with Apple Creek Farm, where we make historical spinning tools, including spindle and whorl, which this is our oak spindle and stone whorl, and distaffs, and hand distaffs, and we do offer a belted distaff. So I'm going to be talking today about distaffs. I thought it would be really fun to just chat distaffs today because I am launching this little bitty distaff, which is will be our smallest option. It's 11 inches, and it's really light, and it holds I would say about ½ an ounce of wool. And we're going to be talking about hand distaffs today. It's not going to be a full tutorial on every little piece of what you do with a hand distaff, but it's going to be a pretty good one, pretty standard stuff that we're going to talk about, and I want to give you some really good examples of what I'm doing with my fingers on my left hand while I'm using the hand distaff. So let's get into it. So I do have another video on how to load a distaff. I'm not going to go over that today. What I am going to go over is that when you start wanting to use a hand distaff, what you're going to want to do is be able to spin while holding your wool. So I'm going to take a little piece of this wool out of here, and I'm just going to show you real quick what how you should be practicing. Because if you're coming at this from using a belted distaff, or in your mind you're thinking that hand distaffs are really going to help you draft or help you, the way a belted distaff will give you a third hand, it's not that versatile, because you are holding it in your hand. So you saw I was kind of doing park and draft right there. What you're going to do is put some spin into your thread, and then pull it out. You want a really lofty roll lag. You want a really lofty fiber prep. I do long draft spinning. It's not long draft, is it? Long, yeah. I use a great wheel, so the long, so we're gonna be doing this. See how I'm just using two hands. I'm putting twist in. Now with this hand, I'm holding it so that twist isn't running up. Putting a little bit of twist in, not a ton, otherwise it's going to grab way too much of this fiber. And then I'm pulling it out and letting that twist run up into the fiber, but I'm only putting a little bit in and then pull it out. I just put a little in and pull it out. A little bit in, pull it out. And then I'm winding on. This keeps this yarn that's spun from tangling up on itself, and I wind it back on. This is how you're going to want to practice. You want to get really good at this of just two-handed. Spin, pull. Now I just drafted it a little too small. I didn't get enough twist in here, and it's a little thin for my liking. I'll probably go back and fix that. But you want to get really good at that before you add your distaff. So I'm just showing you examples. I'm pulling Get a little twist in there and then pull. That was probably out of focus. But we're getting a little bit and then we're pulling. Like I said, you want a really lofty fiber prep. I use carding combs. I just use the standard size carding combs. I don't get super fine carding combs. And this wool that I'm using is Shetland and Merino. I find that the finer, for learning how to do this, for learning how to do long draw, it's long draw, not long draft. For learning how to do long draw, these fibers that are real sticky onto themselves, which are annoying in other places, are really nice for long draw. So you want a really, really loose and lofty carding process. Use a fiber that's sticky, like merino. Rambouillet is good. So now I'm going to talk about how to load it on. So let's say you practiced your long draw spinning. You got really good at doing one hand over here spinning and one hand over here pulling. You've gotten that far, and now we want to move on to our distaff. So the video that I did of wool, loading wool onto your distaff, it uses roving, and I find roving to be fine. So that video talks about roving, and I find Corriedale roving, which is not as fine as the merino, which I just told you to use for this, for long draw spinning. It's not as fine as that. I just find it lends really well to this one-handed pull on here that we're doing. And if you were to make rolags, carded rolags, which is what I predominantly use. The reason that I used roving for that video actually is because that is a really common fiber prep that you can buy anywhere, and it's also what I send in my Viking kits. These are, what's loaded onto this little distaff is carded rolags. They're just loaded on this way, but this is so tiny that I just put them in half. So I will take this off and show you. For those who are not buying a distaff from me, you're gonna want to use a jacquard woven ribbon. If you use a satin ribbon, or you use ribbons that are woven, but they're just too slick, and it doesn't hold your fiber. It just pulls right out. I've tried a whole bunch. This is actually my first distaff I ever had. It's just a stick. We sanded it really good, and my fiber pulled right off. And then I used a satin ribbon on it, and it was just disastrous. This is actually a cotton tie for a dress that I pulled off the dress, and it's got some grip to it. So whatever you use, whatever ribbon you use, you want to have grip for it. If you buy it from me, you don't got to worry about it, because I send all my distaffs with ribbons on them. So this is our little mini distaff. This one has some very beautiful wood grain on it. I hope you can see that. My light is fading fast, so I'm gonna have to hurry. So these are rolags. There's actually 4.5 of them in here. So they were this long, and I just ripped them in half. And the fibers are all going sideways and up and down and crazy like they do in a rolag, so I'm not worried about whether I'm putting them the same direction or not, like you would with roving if you wanted a worsted yarn. So in this prep, you're going to get a woolen yarn. But I do find the rolags are easier when you're learning. but eventually you'll be able to use everything and anything, especially those long staple fibers that are really, they're slick when you use them. They give a beautiful sheen in the yarn, but they're very, sorry, I was talking about something else and I forgot to tell you what I was doing. So, so what you're doing is you've got your distaff. This is a slip knot. This is also a slip knot. You're just taking these and running them this way so that when you've pulled one all the way down, you can grab the bottom of the next one. And I'm just putting them all around. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. I'm just making sure they're all oriented up and down. And then winding around. Now I could pull really, really tight. I'm not pulling tight. I'm keeping them loose. I am winding it around, overlapping so it's not too loose so that when I pull on it, it doesn't come off. I'm putting that slip knot over the top and giving it a little tug to keep it tight. So now we have our loaded distaff, and let's get started on distaff spinning. Okay, so we're going to get into actually using our distaff. So what I want you guys to look at first is pulling off. I'm just pulling down a little here so that I don't lose it. But these two fingers are what is holding this whole distaff on. And these three or these two are available to help me draft. And it's not going to be the same as if you are used to belted distaff spinning, because that belted distaff, it really does act as a third hand. This one, it just doesn't, because you can't move between here and here. You can't pull them apart from each other to help you drafting, to help you in drafting. So the way it's going to help you, it does still help you. It helps you hold fiber and keeps it from tangling. But what it mainly does is, what you can do now is you've got your distaff in here and you're holding right here, these pinchy fingers, and then you're spinning and then pulling out, and these are offering a bit of tension between this and this. So I'm going to wind it on just so I don't get too far apart that you can't see, even though when I'm actually spinning and I'm just going, I get way far apart where I'm like way out there. But we're not doing that this time. So we're pinching these. Okay, one more time. So we're pinching, twist, pinch, twist, and we're guiding that. It's getting thin on me, so I'm adding a lot of twist and letting that twist run up, pulling it out and draft it. So you can see I'm getting farther apart now. So I'll go through the whole thing one more time, through all the motions here. So I'm winding on, putting it lots of times around the neck so that it's pulling from the neck and not pulling from the cup. Pinching with these two fingers, add twist, pull it out while guiding it, and twist, pull. When I lean it back, I'm pulling with the distaff and I'm guiding with these fingers. I'm pulling the distaff against this hand. Twist, bending lots, and pulling. Pinch, twist, pull, pinch, twist, pull, pinch, twist, pull, pinch, twist, pull, wind it on. And just over and over and over again. And you'll see that I have a knobby yarn. This fiber prep that I did is very fluffy, but it could be fluffier. That's why I'm getting little knobs. I like the knobs I weave, and when I just make slightly like Modest Art yarn, where it's a little knobby and strange. So twist, pull, pulling. I'm getting my fingers like this, and then I'm guiding it like this. I'm going tight and wider, but it's ever so slight. It's ever so slight. We'll see if we can see it this time. So I pinch, twisting with this hand. Let's see. So hopefully you were able to see that. It is very, very, very slight. Where the drafting is coming pretty much right where my fingers are. So I don't know if you're familiar with the term the drafting triangle. Fibers will come from a triangle, like a wide thing of wool down into the twist, like this, where you've got a whole bunch of fibers going into the twist. This spot right here, right before the twist turns it into yarn, is called the drafting triangle. That drafting triangle is right where my fingers are. Keep that right where your fingers are so that you can guide it. May do more talks on that later, but for right now, that's what's important. It's these fingers are right at that magic little spot where the fibers are going drafting down into the point of a little triangle into the yarn. So some people thinking about the drafting triangle is really helpful, and sometimes it makes it too difficult. So as with everything that I say, you know, take what helps and toss out the rest. Yeah, so that's the example that I wanted to give you today. Just a really slow look at what I'm doing with this hand, because that's what's most important. And this little distaff will be available in my shop hopefully tonight. It's got this really pretty stripe on it, but it's one of a kind with the stripe. It also has kind of a little a bit of a hole, I don't know if you can see, right here in the wood, like in the wood grain, which I think is just the coolest thing ever, but that'll be shown better on the listing. But they won't all have that. They might not even all have a stripe, so we'll see. I'm using maple and it's really pretty. So that ends our hand distaff tutorial for today. I know there's stuff that I missed, and as you can see, editing videos and having big production, it's not what I want to do. I want to spin yarn. I don't want to be an IT person. So thank you for hanging around with me and for being patient with how slow I talk as I'm trying to gather my thoughts together while I'm doing things. Just real quick before I go, I'm just going to show off some hand distaff. So we have this one, which is available in our shop. It is a hand distaff. It's a flat one that is inspired by some of the Eastern European flat distaffs that were used for flex. We have a blue one with Scandinavian sort of flowers on it, and then we have this one which has green man motifs, and the green man motifs in the medieval and Renaissance eras is a really fun deep dive if you don't know what green man is, and then if you do, you might be excited about this distaff. So that is available for sale. We have this large Osberg distaff, so the Viking burial site that had a lot of fiber tools on it is called the Osberg ship findings and burial ship findings, and this is a replica of the largest distaff / no step in that was found in there. We haven't offered these for sale yet, but they may be in our future. This one's very big. It's just so like, it's so fun to hold, and getting it loaded up with like 2 ounces of wool is just so fun. And then I also have these small Osberg distaff, Osberg burial site distaff. So there was 2 in those findings. One was big, one was small. This is the small one. This one is ebonized, but when we offer them, which isn't always, but when we offer them in a bunch of different wood options, including ebonized. And the little one that I did the tutorial on, and I also have, I have one in here. I do. I have, this one's a little. This one's not my favorite, but it's kind of a. It was janky on the lathe, but this is the Viking distaff that goes in our Viking kits, and it's the same size as the little one that I showed you earlier. And then we also have this one, which is the only belted distaff that we offer. I'm trying to give you a whole picture of it. It comes apart, so you can use it as a hand distaff, and then the bottom attaches so you can put it in your belt and use it as a belted distaff. This one, I'm really excited that we offer it. We don't always offer it. It's just whenever we can get one made. So those are the distaffs that we offer now. I have more distaff ideas about things that I'd like to make in the future, so that may change. But yeah, so thanks for hanging around. I hope to see you around on the interwebs, or at my store, or in the comments here. You can let me know if you have any questions. You can find us on Etsy at theapplecreekfarm.etsy.com, on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook under The Apple Creek Farm. The YouTube is the only place we're listed as the distaff side, because the Apple Creek Farm and every variation was taken. But the distaff side is really fun. Yeah, so that is, I think that's everything for today, and thank you so much for hanging out. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video, and comment if you have any questions at all. I'd love to answer them, or maybe even make another video and answer more questions in the videos. And yeah, I'll see you around, and let's make distaffs popular again. Talk to you later.